Okay, recording now. Okay. Okay, here we are. Second episode of our podcast that has soon yet to be named. Um, we, me and Circus kind of got to talking, and we decided for this episode we'll be talking generally about friendships. Um,
Generally or genuinely?
generally, yes, a broad spectrum of the topic of friendships. Uh, I wanted to talk about a little bit about how like it can be kind of hard, making friends, especially well, in my opinion, in this day and age. Well, Circus has a differing opinion. We're not going to get too much into that because I think we're never going to really agree. But his opinion, I'll let him speak for himself. What's your opinion about friendships today?
I think that building friendships, given that both parties are willing to put in the work, can be incredibly fruitful, especially today. And that some of the best friendships are, depending on your age brackets, going to happen in this point in time where things are seemingly trying to fix themselves and things are aligning. So, more power to those who are willing to do that.
Oh, and I do agree about that. That's something I do agree with. I was more talking about along the lines of like where we kind of disagree about how friendships can be kind of hard to make in this day and age. Um, I, in my opinion, believe that because of technology and because of phones and a lot of other things, like how communities are kind of not really together. We're kind of more isolated, even though we're more connected than ever before. We're kind of more so in our own worlds, I would say, and we don't really touch grass and actually look people in the eye and actually talk with them and have a genuine connection these days, in my opinion. And I think that's kind of sad. Well, but I know that Circus, feels a little bit differently about that.
Hmm.
That's we're not going to
Right.
get too much into that unless you can say say what you want to say about that, and then we continue on with other subjects that I wanted to talk about.
Well, sure. To me, the whole thing with technology in of itself, as well as, let's say, particularly on being on the phone, it's very much, I believe the term is power of the wielder type of situation. Whereas
Mm.
technology and the phone in particular only has as much power or influence over your life as if you give to it. To me, it is not at all difficult to just put down the phone and go out there to talk to people or not care about your phone at all or social media within it, which is, I guess, against this common idea that technology is making everybody more like poor of mind. I think that it's a lot more that people are in very difficult situations in the modern day, and it's the difficult situations that people are in, which is giving them the idea of going through the path of resistance and is causing negative effects.
Yeah, that I do to some degree agree with that a lot. I think there's a little bit more nuance on that, and which is why we kind of have slightly differing opinions. But regardless, I think we can all agree that friendships are hard to manage and to keep up, regardless of whether technology is here or not. It's always been the age old tale of like of trying to find deeper connections and trying to hold them, hold on to them. I think one of the ways that I've learned in my years, I'm not that old, but I feel old. I feel very not to date myself, but I feel like a an old soul in a sense. What so for me, I kind of learned throughout my childhood that being yourself is obviously everyone says be yourself is the most important thing, but also learning and being self-aware of yourself is also something that we kind of don't really recognize or even learn about or even know that we should know about because a lot of the times we kind of just know we know we don't like say for instance we have like a friend who's treating us a certain way and we don't quite like it. I learned in my experience that like I didn't really let them know because in my own I didn't even know why I felt the way I felt. So I think it's important to, for instance, in more mature friendships, in order to keep them from keep them to keep them and have them last, boundaries, setting expectations. And also communication is an important part of a friendship, regardless of whether or not, or any relationship, whether it's your family, your brothers, sisters, your partner. Communication is so important because and also self-awareness is so important. So you're not going to be able to know what to say or how to communicate it unless you actually know, you search deep inside yourself to know. And so we're going to talk more, basically about how setting expectations for yourself and expectations for your friends, and letting them know what those are, and learn, and also trying to search yourself to let yourself know what you want out of a friendship, and then communicating that to your friend. Anything you want to say to that, Circus?
Oh, I have a lot to. Uh, I'm trying to wrap my mind around where do I begin, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
know.
I have it.
Yeah, I was trying to
Yeah, I think
figure
I
out what
have
I
it.
was trying to say there. I was like, I had a
It's
point. I
okay.
know I did.
Well, let me start by saying this. In my generation, maybe in yours as well, we have a few years apart, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in retrospect, I believe that telling children, or let's say even young people to some degree, be yourself, is like the worst advice. Uh, not
I had to
just because,
disagree with that.
well, let me tell you, when you're young, as a child, even like to your teenage years, you don't know who the fuck you are.
I guess that's true.
You
Yeah,
have you have no idea who you are. You haven't had the time to really develop as a person. So whoever you are is going to change from week to week, and for some people, maybe even from day to day. I believe that instead of telling people or children at the time, maybe is different now, to be themselves would be overshadowed by just teaching them how to communicate with people, kind of like how you did that, and
yeah, yeah,
how to be around people and making friends through understanding and kindness. That way, it doesn't matter who anybody is, who they believe that they are any time. Um, they can easily maintain and keep friendships through kindness and respect and understanding of one another.
yeah.
Um, when it comes to expectation, me personally, this is where I guess my point of view on things kind of, I guess, might be on a certain side. Is first of all is being self-assured and being self-sustaining and reliable to yourself, so that generally speaking, you have no expectations for any of your friends besides understanding that they're going to be the people that they are, regardless of who they are at the time. With, of course, in this previous statement, understanding that they're going to change as people, especially during their younger years. Now, as a mature person today, I believe, in retrospect, that's easy to say, but I wouldn't be able to come up with a better way to kind of have expectations for people past just not really having any. Now, if there are like specific people over the course of your youth or in the course of your life even that you've garnered a relationship where you can start to have expectations, I would say that the number one that point would be to have those expectations be realistic, not in terms of some overarching objective point of view, but in a sense that they have to be realistic for that specific person,
Mm,
and for that
yeah.
level of understanding and expectation is the same for every individual in the way that it's unique to every individual.
Mm. Um, I do like what you said about Okay, at first I didn't really agree, but then when you broke it down a little bit, I kind of had a little bit of like a aha moment when you said that um being yourself is probably the worst advice. I have a little caveat to that. Um, I would think I would I would rewrite that sentence, or I think I would redo that and say, um, being yourself, it's is not to be yourself, but to know yourself. Basically, I think it's more important to know yourself first in order to before you can actually be yourself. And that's what I was saying before, is that um, you have to, in order to communicate your expectations for friendship. Everybody's expectations in friendship is different. Even expectations can differ between different people. Like my expectations for you as a friend versus maybe a different friend would just be different because of your limitations, and that person's resources and abilities, are different. Nobody's equal, no one's the same. So everyone, you'd have to fit those expectations to fit the person. But also, there's sometimes just general expectations that are baseline in order to be a friend. So sometimes do get into a friendship with somebody, and they were, let's just say, like, you maybe when you're younger, your expectations for a friendship was lower, lower standards, lower baseline. So the friendship fit then, and it worked then. But then as you grew, you had thought about things, you grew as a person, you're like, hey, actually, I want this person as a friend, and I want what does friendship mean to me? And you start thinking about it. Then you start reflecting. And the word friendship and the word friend starts to take on a whole new meaning. So the old expectations you once had are not really good enough anymore. And so, sometimes baseline expectations change, and so it's not really about individuals having different expectations, because there's individual expectations and there's baseline expectations. So this is baseline. What I mean by that is baseline expectations that will be used across the board, no matter who they are. So for some people, you expect a friend to be there for you for certain things, and that is just hey, this is a deal breaker. If you're not going to be there for me for this situation and instances, then I don't know if we could be like, are we really even considered friends? Like that kind of thing. Um, so, or like, some people are really need to be, some people don't, are low maintenance. Some people don't even need to be around a person to be still there, to still be their friend. They don't even have to be talking for like 10 years, and you hit them up one day and it'll be like as if the 10 years never went by. So it's all about perspective. You have to figure out and reflect on yourself to know, hey, what is it that I believe is important when I consider someone a friend? And then from there, you can cater certain expectations based off of that individual's skills and abilities. You know.
Yeah. Can you hear that in the background? I'm curious.
No.
Okay, great. There's like, okay, I'm not going to say anything about it unless you hear
Yeah, you don't have to worry about sound too much.
it.
You may think it's like I'm able to hear it, but I can't. And if I do, I'll let you know if I can actually hear something. So you don't have to worry about it.
Please do, because
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
be
well,
self-conscious about it.
yeah. Don't be self-conscious
Um,
about it unless I say something. That's what I would. That's my advice.
uh, with the whole thing about the baseline of expectations, at least for me personally, it's a very simple thing where it boils down to self-respect.
Yeah.
Um, there is that whole thing where people will say, "Oh, you should respect everybody. Everybody deserves some level of respect." I don't really see it that way. I think the foundation of it is self-respect. Because if you behave with self-respect, in my opinion, then respecting others is going to come as a cherry on top or as a result of self-respect.
Yeah.
And as you meet people and then you behave the way that you're supposed to behave towards them, we live in society. Um, at that point, you can decide for yourself whether or not you want to maintain either a personal relationship with that person, a business relationship with the person,
Mm-hmm.
friendship, or whatever the case may be. Um, from there, then it's kind of like in terms of expected uh, or like expectation. If I have a
Yeah.
business relationship with that person, I expect them to behave in a manner where that business relationship is mutually beneficial, right? It's, in that sense, I could say it's nothing personal. Even if they behave a certain way that I don't like, I'm not gonna care so much as I might want to like distance myself from them, but I'm gonna maintain that business relationship. Um, and it's vice versa, or on the opposite end, whichever way that it applies. When it comes to someone that I have a personal relationship with, and there's no business involved in that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's really important to know, to set fair expectations for people based off of what kind of category in life are they really for. So sometimes like a business friendship is not going to have the same expectations as a personal one. A friend who is just who like you haven't known for a long time. You shouldn't be probably putting the same expectations on that person that you would for someone who you've known for 10 plus years. So, or it's just all about balance. About all about knowing where certain things lie, knowing where certain people are in your life and what they mean to you in your life. And that's what I'm thinking is like having mismatched expectations. They say, um is like the source of a lot of disappointment in life. So that's why a lot of like times where some when we have when someone's not meeting these expectations, we get disappointed in them and we feel a certain way about it. And that's where I think that's why we're talking about this, is to let people know that, hey, maybe you should freeze frame for a second and be like, think this through, reflect a little bit, instead of maybe like, because a lot of times, when we feel as though we're disappointed in someone, we take it out, we take it as oh, maybe they're not a good friend, or maybe this is not working out, and they kind of see it in a more negative way. And well, with a little reframing, it might stop you in your tracks and actually let you see things from a different point of view, which is how can I rethink this and try to come up with a better solution. Uh, I remember a time when I let a friend know that certain expectations of a what I considered a best friend was different than what he was giving me. So I let him know. We had a good conversation about that, and at the end of the conversation, he actually was like, "You know what? I actually, in this conversation, I even said to him, I was like, hey, you know, it's perfectly fine, if we no longer be best friends anymore. Like, we've grown. There's a lot of differences in our lives, and we feel differently about things. And I think that maybe our label is the wrong. Maybe we should relabel our friendship to maybe just close friends, so that the expectations are met in a way that doesn't make any of us feel disappointed or not cared for, not looked after. And because because choosing to lessen the expectations, choosing to relabel a friendship does not mean that's a bad thing. It could actually be a very helpful thing. And so at the end of the conversation, he actually was like, you know what? I really do want you to be my best friend. I think that we should be best friends, and I agree, I should do better in these certain areas of our friendship so that we can still continue on with our with the label of best friends. Um that's just one instance as an example that, you know, sometimes re doing a reflection will could help, and then also being able to find a way to communicate it with somebody could actually be pretty helpful in a friendship or a relationship. And not a lot of people do that. You know what I mean? A circus. Not a lot of people actually think to do that. That's very, I would say, not something I ever thought to do until in my mid 20s. Like
There's a few things I'd like to unpack there. I'll start by saying that for me, what I would consider, or like the qualifications for what I would say I would call someone a best friend for, is so high.
Yeah,
that
it's
I'm
different
not
for
even
everybody,
sure.
but for a lot of people, it could be very high.
I'm not even sure I could ever have someone like that in my life ever because of how high it is. I know
Yeah,
that there's a potential for it, but
it's
I
all
mean,
about being able to meet somebody who's willing to go to those expectations, to meet those expectations. But also, it's not a personal attack if someone doesn't. And I think that I just want to stress that because sometimes, a lot of, I guess, a lot of culture of surrounding friendships can make you feel as though feel resentment and bitterness to these types of things. And
well,
I just want to stress that there's then in doing these things that we're talking about and like um uh reflecting, self-reflection and reframing could actually really help you not have so much resentment or bitterness
look,
in these types of situations. I do want to move on to maybe like talking about setting boundaries as well.
we'll get
Uh,
there. Wait up.
yeah, setting boundaries. But I want to ask if there's anything else you'd like to add before we get there.
When it comes to this podcast, and I think touched a little bit on it in the previous talk, and having differences of opinions and having
Yeah.
differences in expectations in this case, or differences in either religious, political, or let's say gender based affiliations or whatever, when it comes to individuals, it has a huge impact on expectation itself, as well as just being friends in general.
Mm.
Um, Generally speaking, coming from that point of view, it can garner resentment, and it's not necessarily based on the person feels. It could be because for some people it's very important to them that you agree on with them on a religious value or a
Oh
political
yeah.
value or a value based on gender.
Yeah.
When it comes to what expectations that you have, kind of like maybe for what happened to you, their expectation for a friendship could be different to the point that it has an impact that's as heavy as it might be for a religious or political
Yeah.
view.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
if it's to the point that it's like that, I would say that it's very hard to compare individuals who are very self-assured and are have already gone through all the, let's say, motions in life where they've let go of a lot of those things and
Mm-hmm.
have a friendship with two people that have already gone through that, as opposed to two people where only one party or neither party has gone.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
Maybe in the case that you just mentioned, it was that either both of you were in a transitional period, or that where you were trying to get to the point where you're trying to have some of these things be more clear for you, but they aren't. I can't say for sure, but um, I'm really hoping that from this point forward, that stuff like that happens much less.
Oh yeah. And that's what I'm saying is like I think thinking in these terms and switching up your point of view, not you, but in general, someone's point of view on these types of things could help somebody, and it has helped me. Um, Setting boundaries has also helped me. Sometimes, and that's when communication comes into a big factor. And this may be a controversial take here, or a hot take, where I actually believe that if you never communicated your wants and needs and or communicated your expectations or communicated something that was really important to you, I believe you have no say or no right to actually be angry at the person, because for all they knew, they were doing the best they could in a very specific situation.
Oh
But
yeah,
that,
for
and
sure.
I will say, sorry, were you going to say, Circus?
No, I was just saying I'm agreement.
Oh, you agree? Okay, yeah, yeah. I say you really don't have any right to be angry, and the where can get angry, I would say, where it is fair to be angry, is when you've communicated this multiple times to this person and they still do it. That is when they were purposely. That's when you know they're actually purposely crossing boundaries or not listening to you, not caring about the things that you care about. That is when you know that, hey, this person's actually this has something to do with their character. This is saying something about their character. If you are secretly seething, secretly um, getting passive aggressive with somebody when you've never actually clearly told them how you felt, told them what you were thinking, then I say that that is a you problem that you need to work on. And this is where I am trying to maybe add some helpful tips as to how you can go about this in a better way, and how you can be a more an effective communicator when it comes to friendships or even just any relationship.
I
Anything
wanna
you want to
add
add?
I'm gonna add a small to
Yeah, sure.
that. And unfortunately, I can only use myself as an example. I I haven't really thought about how to express this, so I'm just gonna put it in terms of myself. It's not difficult for me to really be upset with someone, be really angry at a situation with someone, disagree with someone completely, and even be so much as I would say be enemies with someone and still
Mm.
be able to work with them.
Yeah.
And having what I would say is a certain level of emotional stability is going to be something that's extremely powerful in any friendship, because sometimes, and me, and I'm sure to most people, you might be really mad at something or someone, and you just give it a day or two, and then you realize
Yeah.
you really are not as upset or mad with that situation or with that person as you
Oh
thought
yeah.
you were. So you might have
Sometimes
said a bunch of hurtful shit.
I know, right? Sometimes it could just be that you're hungry that day. You're just like, I'm just fucking hungry. So,
And in very simple terms, sometimes
or
you just gotta be
or
willing to
sorry,
let shit go.
yeah, that too, yeah. Sometimes it could just be that man. I'm PMSing right now. Like wow, I'm really not me when I'm hungry. I'm really not me when it's the time of the month. So sometimes I could just be antsy for no reason that has anything to do with somebody. Um, so so emotions are kind of just emotions are not really a good baseline to really make any like rash decisions. It's not really a great, it's okay. That's why I think taking the time to consider your emotions and figure out, hey, what is the reason why? What is this for? Is this just a passing feeling, or is this a ruminating, gonna feel this way for a long time type of feeling? Is this a and then you can really unpack like what this is really about. Um and that's what I think. That's where I think setting boundaries, once you've set a boundary, like figure out what is your boundaries, figure out, hey, this really hurt me, and whatever this person did in this moment, like I'm feeling hurt, like, and you don't know why. That's where you can probably like think about and unpack, hey, is there a boundary here that this person's crossing that I didn't even know I had? I didn't even know I had this boundary. Like I didn't know that, someone calling me a loudmouth, or like, calling me this or calling me a name, or someone making a specific joke at me that actually kind of hurt. I think that, once you figure out what your triggers are, or what really upsets you in certain situations, or what are things that you just don't want someone, how you don't want someone treating you this way. Like figure out, I don't like when someone treats me this way, and then be like, hey, this is something you did that I didn't really like, and if you care about me, maybe you should try to do this differently. Like I kind of would never do this to you. Like, so, don't do this to me, kind of thing. And that could be a really powerful tactic, a powerful tool in your belt to be able to strengthen your emotional stability, like you were saying, Circus, and also strengthen a friendship, if especially if they actually respect them. Then that, wow, this person's really ride or die with me. This person's really gonna lay down their arms for me, and they're gonna be there for me, even at my and they're gonna not attack me at my most vulnerable on purpose. Because sometimes people could do things unintentionally, and that's where the communication lies. Where it's like, now if someone knows, and if they care about you, they're never gonna try to do this intentionally. And that's, I think that, like I said, that could be a very powerful tool in your belt.
All right. Before we like try to go on the caveat, you were gonna move on to something.
Move on to what?
I forgot. I forgot what it
I
was.
already went to boundaries. That was the thing I moved on to.
Oh, all right. Um,
Do you have anything you want to say to what I just said, or do you have any
no,
caveats?
no more.
Okay, so we went through expectations, boundaries. I kind of wanted to go into the dynamics of different friendships, and I guess as this podcast, keeps going as the episodes roll out, I guess you'll know more about me as a person, and I guess I would describe myself as somebody who's kind of a little bit different, a little bit. I guess I am my own kind of person where I don't really fit into many different groups. And I don't really have. I have like you can't really fit me into any specific label, and it's very hard to pinpoint me as a person. Um, and I don't mean that in a I am so unique kind of way. I kind of mean this kind of makes it a little bit difficult for me to have friendships with majority of people. Which is why Circus is a one of a kind person, and somehow we're friends because this guy can put up with me. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, I think for me, the dynamics of different types of friendships. What I mean by that is more so girlfriends, and guy friends. And I'm a girl, obviously, so I was born a girl, and
You never know these days.
I know you never know these days, but I was born a girl,
Could be
and
sporting
I
a thong
identify
right.
as a girl. I am a one man. Anyway, not a man. And, but I kind of grew up being very tomboyish. I grew up kind of not being I wasn't very comfortable being in my femininity. And it got me to, it took me a long time to finally be into my femininity side, though I still have my own, masculine side traits. Circus would tell you I'm very, very feminine somehow, but I don't think so. I definitely
You
have
definitely are.
my masculine days where I'm like very much like in your face. So a lot of the time, I kind of always had guy friends. I kind of, ironically, when I was a kid, I was bullied by boys, and I had only girls that were friends. But as elementary school went away, middle school, I kind of had more guy friends. High school kind of had more guy friends. My interests were more geared towards guy things. For instance, gaming, anime, um, yeah, just gaming, anime, that kind of thing. Though I had my own, I guess, I had my other hobbies that I guess, weren't are kind of considered more feminine, but I never really got along with other girls, and it took me a long time to figure out why. Why is it so hard for me to get along with other women? And I came to the conclusion that because I'm kind of off key, I'm kind of a little different. How I am is a very blunt and honest person. I kind of really hate being somebody who doesn't speak their mind. Who I always have something to say. Like I always speak my mind, even if it's harsh. My go to is to say basically, kindness is not always niceness, and kindness is sometimes harsh. And I believe if you're my friend, I'd rather be kind to you, even if it's harsh, even if it hurts. And that's what I mean by intention is so important. My intention is never to be mean, with malice or you know malicious intent. It is always to help my friend and make them a better person or help them in some ways and call out the bullshit that they be doing. So if I see my friend doing something that I know that is against their integrity and knows it's against their morals, which is why Circus and I, we get along very well because he actually appreciates that about me. And I'll call them out. I'll be like, "Hey, that wasn't right. That's not cool. You're not doing what you say you're gonna do. You're not doing the things you need to do." And also, I'm very assertive. Though at times I can also be just a quiet person and just introverted, but I think that doesn't go very well in girl relationships. Girls like to very much be very nice to each other, but then also catty to each other secretly. And that's not something I ever really liked. I never really liked the whole I don't like what this girl's doing, but I can't say it to her face, and I rather just say it to some other girl or be passive aggressive, and that's just so prevalent in girl friendship culture that it's so hard, to deal with. I also think that there's a secret competition with girls, and it's not so secret. It's kind of out in the open, but we have this. There's this pact that we just never talk about it. We never say it out loud. For instance, every girl, if you ask them a question in a girl group, who, if you rate your friend, they're all gonna say their friend's a 10. They're all gonna say that their friend is beautiful, and that can be true to them for sure. But um, we will all tell each other that we are 10s to each other's faces, but deep down there's a hierarchy in the friend group, and everyone wants to make sure that everyone stays in that hierarchy, and it's like a pecking order, and they will make sure that the pecking order is in check. I never cared about that shit. I never gave a fuck about any of that stuff. I rather just say things, like I said, I just bluntly speak. I rather just say, hey, I know I look ugly today, and I'm definitely ain't no 10, and all this other stuff, but all the girls will be like, no, 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 you're beautiful, you're beautiful. I'm like, girl, you could tell me I'm ugly, I don't give a fuck. Please. Let me know when I got some broccoli in my teeth. But you can't always trust that because, like I said, there's a secret, unspoken hierarchy slash competition where we have to just pretend a certain thing in order to be considered friends. And it's so hard. Guys are different. Guys, I could tell a dude's breath stinks. He won't give a fuck. He'll actually just be like, hey, thanks. I need to brush my
It
teeth.
depends, though.
I guess it depends. I don't know. I've been rambling a little bit, so I'll let you speak. So what do you think about all that?
Um, I'm gonna say I agree with it to a degree. If you want to
Yeah.
use overarching, include greatest common denominator, probably. Um, I'm sure that interpersonal relationships between any individuals, even within different genders, are gonna have nuance to them. Obviously, the thing with guys, it's gonna sound weird. I'm trying to watch my words here. Is gonna depend on how feminine the guy is.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Uh, and
I guess we're talking more so I guess femininity versus masculinity, but even I would say guys who are feminine don't operate the same way girls do because
it's
feminine guys are not in competition with women unless they're not in competition with each other at all. So it's not going to
well,
be
hold on. They
operated the
are
same.
though. It
Huh?
depends. They are though.
No, they're not. Okay, you get a feminine guy, even if they're gay, straight men are not going. The straight men are not going to go for the gay man, so they're not in
No,
competition.
it's not. It's not that. How can I put this?
I guess you could say
Generally,
you could be in competition in the sense of attention. So attention seeking feminine men. It doesn't. They just want attention. Doesn't matter where it comes from. And
you're
some
kind of getting
women
where
just
I'm
want
with
attention.
that.
Doesn't matter where it comes from, and they might be in competition just to be like in in the attention and at the center of things. Who likes me more? That kind of thing.
It all comes down to your group of friends and where you are. I mean, I'm only speaking from the perspective of a guy, but um, in a situation where you have a bunch of guy friends who are all individually self-assured, it's a completely different dynamic than, for example, we're all young and we're all trying to peacock to see who can get the most affection from other people. Um, so I guess you
Yeah.
could say stage of life, and and I would say it's different from gender to gender, or sex to sex, whatever you want to put there. Um, in terms of age bracket or whatever, you do have in between men a high level of competition, but that high level of competition only applies in certain, I guess, arenas. Um, for example, sports. Um, for example, competition to see who can acquire a mate. For example, high levels of competition. That competition goes away when it comes to when things get quiet or when things get dangerous. In which case, I guess that's where emotions kind of go out the window, and it boils down to who do we collectively agree is the best person to be a leader? Who do we collectively agree is the best person to handle whatever job or responsibility? And in that sense, that idea of men competing against each other kind of goes away.
Mm.
Um,
When
uh,
there's like kind of like a group a group effort to a greater goal kind of thing.
well, or when things get dangerous, for
Oh yeah,
example.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I see that like guys in competition happens quite often, but in different ways. I think women's competition is comes out differently than men's competition. Like I said, it's more in your face when it comes to men, and it's more aggressive. It's more dangerous. Women's competition is less high stakes and more in the subtle ways. And it's just not something that is compatible with me as a person. I'm not. I do want to preference that I'm not trying to. I know it may sound like it because maybe I got some like some inner bitterness. Not no, not really. But I do have
I wasn't sure
some
about that.
trying times. I remember some trying things. Maybe I could tell those stories at a different time. But I'm not trying to put down women as a whole. I really am. I'm really into empowering women. I love being a woman. I love what it means. That's something I'm like really. I really think that we have our really great strengths, but we also have our weaknesses. And even though I am not a typical, I'm not compatible with the typical friend girlfriend group. That they work, and I'm not saying that those friendships are not deep and beautiful in their own way. Um, it's just not compatible with me, and I just noticed, you know, uh, I just noticed me as a person. This is how I am, and how I have. It's harder for me to find girlfriends that are that operate in a way that is what I can how I can operate. Um, for instance, like a lot of the times when it comes to girlfriendship, like girlfriends and girl groups, um, I'm very different when it comes to specifically. I may be I'm ranting, but I may be all about empowering women, but I'm actually very much against the modern feminist movement. I'm more so, I guess, a suffrage kind of girly. Where you know the modern feminist movement is mostly all about kind of it's mostly about promoting things that is not really geared to my lifestyle. They promote girl bossery, they promote promiscuousness, and all these different things, which that's the thing, is like I have no judgment towards women who decide to be promiscuous or dress a certain way or anything like that. I don't care. I
I
think it's
love to
the
talk about.
I know you would love to talk about that. Maybe for another episode. So promiscuousness or whatever, that's not my business. I have the opinion of, hey, um, don't if you don't want anyone to judge you for this, then don't judge other people for being a different way. And I think because the new age, way of being feminine is to be sexy, and to be is to be sexy, is to be uh geared towards being so beautiful in the sense of like beauty standards today, which is having plastic surgery and all these other things. Um, this is basically setting a specific expectation. That word again. That of what do you need to be in order to be a woman, a feminine woman, or
I'd
a
I'd like to be able to
modern
say something
woman.
about that.
You have a comment?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, will you remember it? Because I have something
Sure, yes.
a point I'm trying to make. My point that I'm trying to make here is that the modern feminism and the modern woman, uh, we've kind of forgotten that to be, we've kind of forgotten the old thing of like, being a woman, the what it is to be a woman is flexible. What it is to be a woman is um should be what should be my point. I'm trying to like make my point. It's so fucking hard. Um Yeah, my lifestyle choices are more so like geared to. I am not as I don't dress. I dress. Nah, I wouldn't say I'm prude, but I dress. I don't dress as flashy or as revealing as a lot of other women. My lifestyle choices of not going to bars, not really drinking, not really having sexual like a lot of men, like not having a lot of casual sex in general. Like those types of things are things that I've chosen not to do and chooses not to participate in. Um, but I think because of this modern feminist movement, there's a pressure for women and girls to do those things, and that we should do those things in order to be considered free and independent women. And I believe that's just not the case. I think that we should have a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more um, openness when it comes to what is it to be a strong woman. A strong woman does not always have to mean a woman who's as who is as promiscuous as men, not as ambitious as man. It basically, in my view, it seems as though all the qualities that men have are now being uh, were prized and admired and sought after by women, and the only way that they are considered a strong independent woman is if they have those qualities. And I don't believe that. I believe that there's certain qualities that women have naturally that we should also celebrate, and not just the masculine ones. And so for me, because of that, I don't get along with the women who choose those lifestyles where, because there's this thing where if you're not, there's this mentality of if you're not with me, you're against me. So if you, I've had many instances where I've tried to be friends with girls and they found out, oh, you've only had quote unquote this many, you've only been with that's a low amount of guys you've only been with. Oh, wow, you've been with this. I've had instances where they tried to be like, you know what, you need a boyfriend. I'm going to go get you a boyfriend. You need to go clubbing with us ASAP. You've never been clubbing? Oh, that outfit, honey, you look so good, but this would look so much better. And it's like, it's even smaller. It's more revealing than hers. And they try to, get me to wear whatever they want me to wear or wear more makeup than them. And it's just like, it's weird. It's a weird dynamic and it's not something I've ever been comfortable with. And so, I think that is a symptom, I think, of, a modern what the definition of the modern woman changing over time, and how I just don't fit into that. Sorry, that was a long-winded point, but I hope I made it. And so here's Circus and his caveat if he still remembers.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I for a second there, I had issues with the connection. I think you can edit that part out, where like
Oh,
there's like
okay.
that dead air. Yeah. Where was I? When it comes to women in particular, and in the larger sense, uh, the whole friendships that we have with each other,
Mm-hmm.
men and men, women and women, and obviously men with women. I have this strong sense that when it comes down to it, women have no idea, especially today, completely clueless as to how powerful they actually are as a group.
Yeah, I
They're
would say.
they're so powerful, in fact, that they, in this modern day, don't even know how to use this power, have no idea for the most part that it even exists. And and I, to some degree, don't even want to say too much about that because I feel like I'd be divulging too much. I don't know.
You're like
I
you
know
gotta. You're trying to
I know I'm
protect
just one guy.
your fellow man over here. You're like, I can't let them
But
know what they really could do.
when it comes down to it, I'm gonna root for the boys. I'm gonna I'm gonna pick a side.
Yeah, if I have
And
to pick a set, I'm gonna pick my men, my boys.
fuck yeah, I'm gonna pick the boys.
Hey, yo, I feel the same way, man. If it comes down to it, I'll pick my girls.
The thing is, this
Which is
idea that
ironic because
women,
I have mostly guy friends. But that's the thing is because I have a lot of guy friends, I also will defend a lot of the shit that women do that's fucked up, which is that they're
Well,
hypocrites on. But I think
well,
this
look,
is
look,
this
look,
is
hold on,
getting
hold
into
on.
a whole other topic and a whole other episode that we might need to do someday, which is the gender dynamics and all this stuff. I want to stick to friendships though.
Look, I'm speaking on friendships, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm pointing out that when it comes to female friendships, at least to my point of view, the way that you guys go about it is you are detrimental to each other. That doesn't mean that it doesn't exist with men. It's just kind of different, and
Yeah, it's
I
just
think
kind of
it's
different.
specifically in this modern age. But uh, be that as it may, as far as like being able to talk about all this stuff and dynamics between men and women and all that, when it comes to like guy friendships or even guy and girl friendships, at least from my point of view, it it, it touches on a fundamental like what is it that you want, and if you figure out what you want, navigating that becomes very very easy. That is why that if you have a bunch of guy friends that want the same thing, it becomes very easy to do whatever it is that thing is. If you have a relationship with a woman and you want the same thing, it makes it easy, sometimes even easier, because you have um, that feminine touch that can help you get even further, at
Hmm.
least in my opinion. So on the other side, being that I'm not part of it, I maybe have no idea, but I can tell you what it looks like from my perspective. I guess you could say from a third person or from a guy's perspective. And to me, what you mentioned about like the whole competition and how you're never really honest with each other, guys can be that way too. But I think it speaks a lot to how the competition in itself is is just detrimental. Um, Generally speaking, I don't want to be in competition with any of my. Maybe that's just me personally,
Yeah,
but if
no,
I,
no, I agree. We're not in competition.
not
But
me and
then again,
you, just
we are a boy and a girl. But I don't want to be in competition with other girls either. I don't, you know.
I, I don't, I don't feel I'm in competition with most men. Generally
I
speaking,
think.
if I,
Sorry, I think that the deeper the friendship goes, that's when the initial surface level competition kind of falls away to the by the wayside. I just know I just only had maybe I could count the number of like girlfriends that I've had that are like deep like a deep friendship on one hand. So all these like instances I'm talking about are kind of surface level friendships that never really got anywhere because it was just so hard to maintain, so hard to get to like the deep level friendships to begin with because we were just so different. I've only had maybe two or three maybe like deep friendships with other girls, and it was really good. It's just sad that they never really that we if they we fell apart, grew apart, went our separate ways type of thing. Um, right now I only have one, and it's actually kind of funny. A lot of the girls that I agree that I get along with are actually a lot older than me. They're just like 20 years older than me. So I guess that says something.
maybe it does. Maybe it's not that simple. I
Yeah.
don't know who they are, so I wouldn't be able to tell
Yeah.
you.
So that my point is basically that um, the closer you are to someone and the deeper the friendship is, whole competition thing kind of goes away. That's not really even part of the equation at that point. Which
Yeah, but
which is a good thing because I think that's true for guys too. I talked a lot
when
about
it comes to
girlfriends.
when
Sorry,
it comes
what?
to making friends, it's gonna depend because you're gonna have friendships for different. I- If you have friendships like you have your gamer friends, you have your friends you go fishing with, you have your friends you go ride bikes with or camp with, or bike trails, whatever, and you have your other friends you drink, with. it's kind of like that. And some groups are going to be groups of like fucking 20. Some groups are going to be groups of 2 or 3 at most, you know. And depending on how many people are involved, that idea of competition among each other might change, or the depth of the relationships in of themselves are going to be either very shallow or very deep. For
Mm-hmm.
me personally, um, it might be unique to me. Maybe a lot of men out there actually feel the same way. Wouldn't be able to tell you. I'd say I have never had a very deep friendship with any guy friend.
Sorry, my brother was
Uh,
talking to me. I had to
that's
cut
all
that
good.
out.
I'm saying that I've never had a, a deep friendship with any man. Uh, it's always been not necessarily surface level, but it only got so far. And the reason that I can say that is only in comparison to friendships that I had with women. The friendships that I've had with women have been very, very deep, um, existential almost.
Yeah.
Uh, n-
I
knowing,
think that's a. Sorry to interrupt, but I do think that that is a consistent thing. You know, women girl friendships tend to be a lot more emotionally deeper than men's, but I feel like the
I don't think that's true.
men's what
I don't think that's true.
okay then you just said that I thought you were that's what you were saying.
No, I'm saying I've had a deep relationship or friendship with another person, um, eh, like as terms of a guy friend. But from what I can see, generally speaking, or from people have told me, when it comes to the point that a man, uh, or just men in general, become friendships at a deep level, that shit is like a sacred thing. They're willing to go to war
Oh
with
yeah,
this
for
man.
sure. No, well yeah,
They,
no, but what I'm saying is
they,
like men don't usually talk about emotions with
yes,
each
we do.
other. Oh,
Yes, we
you
do.
guys do?
Oh, yeah, we do. It's
I don't know.
we.
Out of all the guy friends that I've ever spoken to, a lot of them just say, "Hey, we don't talk about emotions. That's just not what we
Well,
do."
you and this is why it's kind of like I have to watch what I say because yes, we do. It's different than how girls do it, but we absolutely.
Yeah, then I could agree. Probably, maybe it's different. I think that maybe you're just more self aware of it, so you know that you guys know that you guys are talking about emotions, but maybe other guys actually don't even know. Hey, we're actually talking about emotions here. You
I
know?
mean, how can I put this as an example? Like I might know this guy. Right? I introduce him to somebody, and I say, "Hey, you see this man? He's a piece of shit, and he hates his mother." Right? And I just hit something really deep for that motherfucker. Like I just told someone he doesn't know that he hates his mother, but it's more like it's directed towards him. There is something that I know about him that allows me to say something like that on a very, very touchy subject, right? But that's me, airing it out, and that can be very dangerous because generally speaking, you're not supposed to air out someone's dirty laundry at all. So I have to be very close to this person, and he has to have a very high level of trust and respect for me or for himself, I guess you could say, for me to be able to say something like that, because automatically he would know that whoever I said that to is in this circle, I guess. Uh,
Well, yeah, yeah. I'm sure guys, when they get close enough to other guys, they do talk about their emotions. Like I'm sure that's very true. I'm just saying, like that. I guess from what I've heard, and I think this is also my opinion, that in which take it for with a grain of salt because my opinion means shit to be honest. But
I don't think
it
so,
should
but
mean
okay,
okay.
sure.
I will say okay. I will clarify. My opinion should mean shit to you or you as the general audience because you know nobody's opinion really means. I'm saying general speaking. Nobody's opinion should really mean all that much to somebody unless they care about the person. Anyway, I will say, in my opinion, and also in my observation, which is, I guess not that, I'm not in the inner circle probably with other guys because I'm a girl, but from what I know is that bonding is different with guys than it is bonding with girls. Bonding with girls is basically being emotional, and that's another reason why I don't get along with a lot of girls because I don't like bonding over trauma. I don't like bonding over emotional things too much because it gets really messy. Uh, and that's why betrayal in girl friendship is really fucking bad. It's really fucking you could hate that bitch forever. because that betrayal is fucking real. It stings. Anyway, anyway, so
What the fuck?
what'd you say?
I just said what the fuck. Like,
What the fuck? Anyway, so I'm over here. It like where was I go with that? I think that guys bond over doing things together. That I heard that a lot. Guys bond over commonality. Bond over just being side by side together. Girls, we bond face to face. Guys kind of, I heard that somewhere where, we bond face to face and guys bond side by side, which is what it is. It's like, camaraderie is so important to men, like, we will die for each other, we will fight for each other, that kind of thing. Like being in physical, like we will do things. There's a physicality to it, to the bonding, where like the doing is so much more important than the saying, the feeling, the thinking, because like doing is all that matters. Doing is the feelings. Doing is the feelings. Like while girls we will talk about the feelings, we will feel the feelings, but that and that's the bonding. But with guys, the bonding occurs and the feelings, I think maybe what you're trying to say here is like the feelings are interwoven with the actions. It's not that you guys don't talk about feelings. It's more so that the feelings are communicated through actions.
well, if you allow me, I can try to see if I can shed some light through example.
Sure, go ahead.
All
Tell the
right.
story.
I'm working on a bike, friend, and I've worked on bikes with him before, and I know how fast he is at doing a particular job or whatever. And I see him kind of struggling where he hasn't been struggling in the past. And I'm like, yo, the fuck, man? Like, what's going on? And then, depending on how the relationship with that person is, you're like, oh, man, I'm not in my right mind today. So that's my opportunity to be like, what's going on, man? Your dick don't work, or uh, like your bitch not fucking you anymore or some shit like that, you try to like uh, make a joke about it. And depending on what's going on or that person's ready to divulge how they feel about something, they will straight up just tell you, I'm going through this. And it's going to be very, very clear. This is what I'm going through and I need a solution. And it
Yeah.
causes this thing where, uh, at least for me, I guess, I don't know, that person is extremely vulnerable to you, but you don't even think about the vulnerability because you don't see this man in that light at all. The baseline is that you're not talking to a vulnerable man, you're talking to somebody who's going through something and that needs a solution. And you just automatically start to break down, hey, what is the solution to this problem? Yeah, very like, let's fix this right now. And it's kind of like when you say that, oh, men don't talk about their feelings, or in the modern day, they say, oh, men don't allow themselves to be vulnerable. It's not so much that, it's that you live in a society where people are very quick to take advantage of people's vulnerabilities. So if you're in a group of men in which that they know each other in that way, there kind of like is no such thing as those vulnerabilities because it comes from a point of view of understanding each other where that shit is sacred. You can joke about it, but from a third person, if you're not part of that inner circle, you will have no fucking idea what it is that they're joking about because the language is going to be like damn near coded. Uh, it's cryptic, and I think when it comes to that, uh, we have that above women's head. It's not talked about. It's
Mm,
not divulged.
yeah.
Maybe it's just within small groups of more
Men.
mature, more
Yeah. Yeah.
understanding men. But hey, I know that this exists.
Yeah. Yeah. I think hearing you say all that, I think I do. I will I guess re-explain my point of view. I will say that it's it's you guys are vulnerable, but in a very different way. And that's the thing is like when guys are vulnerable, they're looking for solutions. You know, when women are vulnerable, we're doing it just so we can vent a lot of the time. And sometimes, there's okay, we're saying a lot of generalizations here, but obviously there's caveats and exceptions to the rule. There's all less like, I'm not saying, one thing is all, this is all encompassing, but this is just general statements, that, most men, will come to their best friend or a close friend and ask, tell them that they're going through something, but ask for a solution. Not so much of a, I need you to be my emotional support right now. Well, a lot of girls would expect emotional support as part of the package deal of friendship. Um, and that's a tricky situation, which is why I say, the dynamics are just, they're different, but there's, that's the thing. Each category, each different part of the friendship is all, they're all there. All the different parts of being emotional, being emotionally stable, asking for solutions, all these different things of like competition and all these things. They all manifest in girl friendships and guy friendships. They all manifest, but they all manifest in different ways that are just, they all come out differently. They all have different outcomes. Like, for instance, like the bonding through with vulnerability will be solutions based. It's still there in the friendship, but it's solutions based. Well, a girl being vulnerable with their girlfriend is venting. Being expression, just expressing and being able to release. That's where that baseline is.
Well,
That's where that comes from. That's
fundamental
where that
difference
bonding is going
there.
to be.
As a man, maybe this is outdated. I doubt it. I think it's still very much alive and probably will more so be in the future. But as a
Oh yeah,
man,
yeah. Now
you
that
know,
now that modern feminism is really like
no, no,
making men and women against each other. Men
it's
really, they're huddling together for dear life because that's the only support they have.
you guys. I mean, I'll get to the feminism in a second, but
We don't have to. Not in this episode. It's too
generally
big.
speaking,
It's too
no,
big.
no.
It's too big for us. It's beyond us.
Generally speaking, as a man, no one's gonna save you. No one's coming to help you. No one gives a shit about you.
Yeah.
You're gonna be born alone and you're gonna die alone. And you know that and from a very, very early age. So generally speaking, you're not gonna catch men like uh venting to each other unless they're like drunk in their 40s.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, men. Okay, men. The only people who are gonna save men are men themselves. While women, I will say, women have people. Modern feminism is all about, oh, men have privilege, this and that, but we don't talk about the privileges we have. We don't be talking about the privileges that we have based solely on the gender we were born as, which is a woman. And one of those things is we will always have somebody to help us, a woman or a woman. If a woman's in trouble, doesn't matter. Most people are going to try to help her. A man will try to help her. A woman will try to help her. But when it comes to a woman's not going to try to help a man. You know what? Most of the time, a woman's not going to try to save a man. Unless she's his wife or a mother or someone that is connected to him. Like no stranger that's a woman's gonna save a man, from anything, you know, for the most part, except for exceptional people that care no matter what. But it is what it is.
Those exceptional people that care no matter what, from what I understand, that used to be the norm.
I guess so. Yeah,
Yeah, it used to be the
used to be,
norm.
but not anymore. So I guess we got a little
Those
bit off topic with some of the some of the
the
things, which
gender
I guess is a
differences
good
and the
thing because it
feminism.
means maybe this is a sign that we should make our own separate video about social dynamics between men and women. Um,
Yeah,
but
it's gonna be hard to talk about friendship without putting social dynamics there. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for sure. But anyway, I do wanna move on to our last note here, which is some of the things that we learned through through friendships in our lives and how we grew from them. And I would like you to start, Circus, since I talked a lot. I'm a girl, of
Fantastic.
course, so I'd be talking.
Um, I'm going to start with a negative, if that's the way that I can express that.
Oh, a negative, yeah,
What I
sure.
would say, what I would say I learned most in terms of friendships that I've had is the times that I've hurt my friend. And for me personally, that has happened a couple times, few times. Not very many, but uh, with the little that it did happen, I feel like I'm probably going to carry it to my grave. Um, I will randomly remember those times, and now, speaking on friendship itself, I remember past people that I was friends with that I did some really fucked up shit to. That right now I don't know what I would do, but to try to see if I could ever see this person again and apologize to them. Um,
Yeah,
because I don't know how badly that might have hurt them. I know that I did, but I don't know if that caused like a fucking scar that could have lasted
yeah,
for I don't know how long. And it could have been something very, very stupid, like uh, I stopped talking to the person during a vulnerable time in their life because I didn't want to deal with their shit. In fact, kind of specifically that for one instance.
mm,
Another one, whereas like, uh, let's say I took something from them uh, that meant a lot to them, and I had no idea at the time. And I don't think I was close enough to them at the time where I could have even been self-aware enough or mature enough to be self-aware enough to find out or to know by instinct that that thing meant something to them. And as the saying goes, you learn more from your failures, and failed friendships and failed relationships in general, I guess, is a very good standpoint to say what you learn from someone that was a friend. And in retrospect, and you could say kind of like there's some spirituality behind it as well, where some people, especially, they believe that certain friendships are going to be temporary, um, and that friendship was meant to teach you a lesson. And these lessons that I learned um, from those friendships that have hurt the person, especially, uh, I think there's the one that we remain friends after that. Uh, there's no going back from learning something about that, because I don't think it could ever possibly happen again uh, in the way that it did. Maybe by complete and utter mistake of myself or lack of awareness that might happen. I doubt it. But as far as specifically, like out of purpose, ending up hurting someone, um, it's something that I think takes a little bit of humility to say, "Hey, I've hurt people in the past, and I'm aware of it, and I'm not going to do such things anymore."
yeah. I think that makes it just it definitely changes you as a person, knowing that you hurt somebody, and if you cared and have empathy for that, that I think that makes you it changes you to become a more mature person for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of easy, and it's gonna sound well. I don't know how it's gonna sound, but it's stupid. Um, Many people, I guess, in the world, and I guess I don't know if anybody hears this podcast. You heard it before in the movie Harry Potter. I forgot which one, where Dumbledore expressed that it's easy to stand up to your enemy, but it's difficult to stand up to your friends,
Yes.
especially when standing up to them. I mean, in this, not that Dumbledore said that, but in the case that standing up to them is going to mean that you're going to have to hurt them, um,
Yeah.
that demands a lot of maturity, a
A
lot
lot
of
of strength. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and not only as an individual, but in friendship itself, because the friendship has to go on despite
Hmm.
that, or in spite of, whichever one applies. Um, and that's, I would say, one of the main lessons uh, that I've learned when it comes to that. Can I say specifically what happened? Maybe one day, I don't know.
Yeah.
But uh, it's not hard to like imagine what I mean by I took from someone, because it's kind of literal. Uh, and the whole like not talking to someone during a time that they needed me the most. I mean, wow. Uh, it was just so much easier for me to think about myself and not worry about whatever the hell it was that they're going through. I don't even remember at this point, and I would say maybe it is my scrutiny on myself, and I could say that I was a coward for doing it.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think in that situation, I don't know the details of it, but I will say that depending on certain things, that may not be true for all cases for all people. But for you, it could be true that you kind of chickened out and you didn't have the capacity and strength to be able to emotionally deal with her emotions and on top of like whatever you're going through in life, or
his
maybe you were just like, oh, this is just too, this is just ridiculous, or you just didn't think of it as like a, I just don't want to deal with this because this is
uh,
too much, that
I didn't
feeling.
care about the person's feelings. I just wanted to protect myself, and I
Yeah.
was only worried about myself. I was being super selfish at the time, and I
Yeah.
just like, you know what, not going to speak to this person anymore. And
Oh
the,
yeah.
I,
you
I
know
I figured out that it hurt them way later, because at the
mm,
point that I'm like, all right, he's probably done dealing with whatever he's dealing with. I'm gonna come back to like see if we can continue just being friends. And then like he was like already like
oh,
gone. Yeah, he was
I
gone.
think at that point you probably weren't ready for like a real friendship that where you had a duty and a responsibility to them.
No, it's well, yeah, but it's a lot that I hadn't put my finger on how much that I might have meant to that person at the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Hindsight
Yeah,
is
and
2020. Hindsight is 2020 for sure.
no shit.
No shit. I will
So
say, yep. Oh, sorry. Continue.
I'm pretty much almost done.
Oh,
The
okay.
thing
Yeah. Go
is,
ahead.
um, knowing that and having gone through some of these things is what makes relationships and friendships so important to me today. And I have a certain level of demand for the quality of the people that I accept into my life at the different levels that I accept them within. And I
Mm.
can't stress it enough. At some point, I believe everybody um, needs to go through stuff like that in order to really understand that in this like very short life we all that we only have so long that we can spend it, either being someone that can make a difference in the world or just being your common asshole. Uh, and it's a choice that everybody has to make.
Yeah. Um, I think I will put a caveat to this. I think just the time what we were saying earlier in the podcast, where in this situation you see it seemed to be as though you think you believed you fucked up, and I will I'll take your word for it. But in certain situations that are very similar to that, you know sometimes friends can be overbearing with you and about certain things. And I know in my experiences, some friendships had certain expectations for me. We were talking about expectations earlier, and boundaries and stuff, where they just asked too much of me, and I just kept giving and giving and giving, and it burnt me out. And I just thought, oh, I have to be there for this person, or else because they're my friend, I have to be there for them. But sometimes it's not okay, it's not good to overexert yourself with that. And sometimes friends ask too much of you, and they don't ever they receive, but they don't ever give. And sometimes you have a friend that expects you to be their emotional support tampon, but then when you need them to vent to, they're nowhere to be found. So in those situations, sometimes going away for a little bit, and that may hurt them, and but it's better for you, and you should look out for yourself in certain situations. And maybe in your situation that's not the case, though. um
Mm, when you put it that way, I guess it's just more personal to me.
yeah.
My my fuel tank is
so much
deep.
vaster now. Your fuel tank is vast now.
It's
Before
deep,
you,
and the weird thing about it, it kind of comes in a form of currency. As weird as that sounds.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, that goes into the whole, I guess, BDSM thing, or maybe I don't
No,
know.
no, it's not. It's not BDSM. I could have even if I don't know them that well,
Well, I
and they're
guess that
like,
goes into that. I guess that goes into your whole like, I guess point of view, your world view of relationships are transactional. That's your worldview, right?
I wouldn't call it a worldview. I think I think all relationships are transactional, whether people
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
hear it or not.
All relationships are some or form are some form of
Yeah, it depends
transactional,
on your definition of
and I
transaction.
guess if you take all the romanticism out, I guess that's true in some ways. But I don't know. Sometimes it's not transactional. Sometimes we give and we give just to give, and we don't ask for anything in return.
No, even if you give a transaction, something has gone from one person to the other.
I guess the word transactional, I guess, has a certain connotation to it that maybe I just don't
Yeah.
like. But anyway, I will. I guess I'll start off with I guess my my
Bef-
what's something that I've
before
experienced
you
in
do,
friendship and what I've learned, and I guess in
before you do,
sorry, what'd you say?
I
Before I
said
do.
before you do. Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I think your voice is kind of like low on me, so I don't always hear it over me talking. So sorry if I do overlap with
No,
your
don't worry.
voice.
It's me that kind of like as I was saying this, I want to make this point. Um, what I'm saying at this point, uh, it's just me being a crazy person, I guess, because like I was trying to say, even if I don't know the person super well like that, in a form of like a friendship that's like has a little bit of that currency to it, it's like, hey, Circus, like I don't know anybody else but you who would do this. I want you to help me bury this body over there. Oh
Oh God.
shit! All right,
Ah
you're
shit! Now I
making me,
gotta do it. Fuck! I'm an accessory to murder.
you're making me an accessory, right? Yeah. All right,
Dude, you're
all right,
making
all
me an
right.
accessory just by asking me. What the fuck?
No shit. All right, what's in it for me, right? Like, all right, this is what's in it for me, and it's like, if they don't give me something at that point that's worth it to me, I'm going to the police. Sorry, but
Hey, yo, that's fair. I say that's fair.
like you asked me and you made me a witness, right? But this like I'm saying this under the connotation that it'd be very likely that I'd be willing to help someone with someone like that because I'm like, all right, I know I'm an accessory, so one day I might need something from you, and I'm willing to make us both go down for the fucking thing.
Like,
It's
hey,
like,
hey, hey, you remember when you said you owed me one? Remember when you said you owed me a solid? I'm here to
yeah, no,
cash in. I'm here to
fuck.
cash in right here, right now. And if you don't, something's about to happen.
All right, I'm
Okay.
done with my.
Okay, my my something that I've learned is very what I had picked out to talk about was very it's actually pretty similar to what you just said. Um I'm fixing my headphone here. Oh, that's bad. Um I think that when I was younger, I also did the very same thing. When we're younger, I have this belief that kids have to have a muscle in their body, a figurative metaphorical muscle, for empathy, and it's not natural. Well, it's not. It is natural. All human beings have some. Well, except for psychopaths, all have some form of empathy. But as a kid, it's kind of like a atrophied, not yet used muscle. So we don't really know when we're being assholes. We don't really know when we're being mean and shit, and we just say things. We say whatever is on our mind because we're impulsive little pricks. We're impulsive little pricks, and I was definitely one of them. And I remember having friends as a kid, and when I had friends, I was a territorial jackass. Like I just felt like, I just felt like, oh, they're my friend. They're my friend, and so my friend needs to do this and do that. I was very bossy, and I sometimes said things that were mean. And this goes into the whole maybe I'm a little bit more of a tomboy. More that's why guys friends were a lot easier. But I
One
was
day I'll have
mean.
to tell you what.
Sorry, what'd you say?
But one day I'll have to tell you what I think about that.
I already told you about this. You already know.
Yeah, I know, but I told you back then. One day I'm gonna have to tell you what I feel about that.
What do you mean? I still don't know what you mean by that, but someday you might. Anyway, so I was just like territorial and like being like, "That's my friend" and all this stuff, and I think it comes to like the insecurity that I had as a kid of being abandoned and all this stuff. But that goes into like a way too personal of a topic. But um, I was just a hurt kid who didn't know they were hurt and accidentally hurt others, and um I didn't know I was hurting people until eventually my friends didn't want to be my friend anymore and I was basically outcasted. And I think that fucking helped me so much. That, as much as it traumatized me and scarred me, I think it made me an incredibly more empathetic and better person because of that happening to me. I saw, wow, my actions made people not like me, and it forced me and helped me get basically isolated me so that I could listen to myself and hear my inner thoughts and my inner emotions and process them all and actually help me empathize, be like, hey, I was a dick person, I was a dick to these my friends that and all this stuff. And then when I got more friends in the future, I was a lot more gentler, I was a lot more understanding and a lot more of a I became a better friend. I really did. And that's what that kind of pain turned into a lot of good. And whenever a friend did in the future tell me that they hurt that I hurt them, I of course I learned to apologize. I learned to have humility. I learned to fix my mistakes or be a better person. And I accept feedback, accept criticism with grace. All those different things. And when I did that, I also learned that you know when you are, and then when I learned to be a better friend and learned that all these different things, and I saw that I was a good friend. That's when I also learned not to take shit from people. Not to let people take advantage of me. Take advantage of my kindness, my generosity, and my understanding, and not to let people use me as an emotional tampon because that's happened before. Anyway, so the friendships and people come into your life and they can actually help you grow and help you become a better person. And I think in another way, we can all think about how, we also to harness that same power of being able to help other people grow and become a good influence in their lives. And what better way to end this off as to say to tell people what Circus has done for me as a friend he is in the 5 years that we've known each other. And one of the things I will say about Circus is that he has always been the kind of friend that helped me see possibilities where I never saw them. And that is that's an incredible good power to have. Like, whenever I think that something's impossible, this dude will be like, hey, don't you see all this other shit that's like within your grasp? And me and my ungrateful ass over here, with all the possibility there is in America, he's always the one to remind me, look at all the possibilities you have just by the fact of where you're born, and that's something I think, that's a very good quality to have in a friend.
Oh, well, gee, Otaku, what can I say?
I know, right? You're just blushies all around.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that goes both ways. Maybe
Yeah.
not in the sense of the possibilities that I have, but I believe you touched upon it in the past. Not in the past, sorry. In the past, in this podcast conversation about holding someone accountable. Um, I hold that in high appreciation, and at least for me, you're the only woman that has been or has ever done that for me in terms of, let's say, a friendship. Um, After that, it would be someone that I was in a more either romantic or whatever type of relationship. But generally speaking, um, holding accountable and being able to like give different perspectives, and in particular when it comes to how people see things differently and how emotions or how sensitivities amongst people can make me kind of seem to be callous or uncaring, um, that made a huge difference for me.
Mm, that's good. Yeah. I think that's what friendships are really all about, is to make us better people.
Well, maybe, maybe, but just going through this world where, kind of like we touched upon it again, people feeling either so alone or that they're not understood or that they can't communicate or whatever. Um, Learning something comes second to that, in my opinion.
Learning comes second. What do you mean by that?
That in terms of friendship, just having people that are, a witness to your existence is, I guess, a crude way I can put it, or just that you can spend time with people,
Oh yeah.
and as opposed to, learning something. Sure, is it good to learn things? Absolutely. Is it good to
Oh,
grow as
so you're
people?
saying, I get
Yeah,
what you're saying. So what you're saying is like, first and foremost, friendships between humans are important for the community
for
of
the
it, and then
humanity of it.
second it is to learn.
Yeah, yeah. I would say the
I get it.
humanity of it and being amongst each other. Yeah,
Yeah, the community and the humanity of it, the connection, like I said, the connection to just by being together, being friends helps us all remind ourselves that we're not all alone, and that there are witnesses to our lives, and that there's a place where we all belong. Everybody needs that. And then from there on, I guess you said second would be, chiseling out, that human, chiseling them out and chiseling ourselves out to be better humans. That just comes with the territory of being, having friends, having a community. And, I would agree with that.
well,
But yeah, I think that was a pretty good conversation. I enjoyed it, and I think for the next episode we'll have a guest, Baby Kiss, another friend of ours from a different server, and maybe by then we'll have a name to this to this podcast. And stay tuned for next time for Baby Kiss and his coolers. See you guys. Bye.